Hello and welcome to... I really should think of a name for this channel, shouldn't I? Anyway, remember way back when I put up my, I think it was my second video about my favorite scene in Higurashi done in dub versus sub? And I mentioned that I would be doing a Higurashi versus Mirai Nikki comparison. Guess what I finally did? Anyway, a while ago a friend and I were discussing our favourite anime, and I mentioned Higurashi being my favourite show at the time. He listened while I gave him a basic rundown of its plot, and then I listened to him while he described to me an anime which is in many ways similar, called Mirai Nikki. I have since seen this as well. Needless to say, it almost ended in a feud at that time as to which was better. This video has been created to help others with that choice. Which one is better? I am the one making this video and not my friend, because of the two of us I am the only one who's actually seen both. I will attempt to keep as much bias out of this comparison as I can, because I'm a fair and respectable anime watcher, shut up I am. Rather than just comparing them, I will go so far as to judge them on a number of set criteria I'll give here. So then, let us begin. Criteria 1. Animation. Given it's a much newer anime, I'm giving this spot to Mirai Nikki. It isn't bad in Higurashi, but Mirai Nikki's youth gives it an edge here. The images in Mirai Nikki are sharper, clearer, and just better done. The style of the Causality Cathedral being one example among many. Point 1 to Mirai Nikki. Criteria 2. Violence. When you saw Higurashi was part of this comparison, did you really think this wasn't going to be part of the criteria? Seriously? Google search Higurashi and see what images you get. But in spite of this spot also goes to Mirai Nikki. Higurashi definitely has an edge in terms of the different tortures used, but it's a psychological horror. Mirai Nikki is a survival horror. It's kind of obvious which one has more actual bloodshed. Higurashi has more deaths in total, what with everyone dying like 2 times each, but it loses here. Point 2 to Mirai Nikki. Scariness / creepiness. Point 1 to Higurashi. As I said earlier, Higurashi is a psychological horror, and after watching enough things like Elfen Lied, however you want to go about saying it, or High School of the Dead, Dead Man Wonderland, etc, etc, the blood factor in Mirai Nikki just doesn't scare me. Higurashi knows how to mess with your head, and it does it superbly. There are some elements of the psychological horror in Mirai Nikki, but not enough to take this point. Not by a long shot. Next criterion. The characters. For this criterion, we actually have a tie. In Higurashi, we have fewer characters, so more is actually done with them. Mirai Nikki and Higurashi also have similar character personalities, just with Higurashi's characters exhibiting more of these different personalities, where Mirai Nikki had a different character for each personality. No points allocated either. The evil laughs. Nothing makes a good horror quite like an evil laugh. Unfortunately for Mirai Nikki, it is a long time before we hear the first one. Higurashi, on the other hand, has them all over the place. And the Higurashi evil laughs are much, much scarier. Point 2 to Higurashi. Plot. The plot is really the heart of both anime, and though I love the story Higurashi gave me, this point I'm giving to Mirai Nikki. Higurashi told its plot well, in a series of arcs that hit us hard with something disturbing, then immediately subvert it with mostly happy stuff that gets darker and darker and darker until everyone dies. What keeps it from winning this point is that most people would find it confusing, and although that gets explained in the second season, Mirai Nikki didn't need to do that. point to Mirai Nikki. The ending. This criteria was difficult to compare without having to mention any spoilers, but I'll say this. Both have a happy ending with a question mark. Mirai Nikki definitely has the happier ending, but Higurashi's, after all the crap that went down throughout the whole series, was so much more satisfying. Both had you wondering how you get there so quickly. Both are good, but this one goes to Higurashi. And now, just because I am slightly biased to Higurashi, here is the last criteria. When was it aired? Higurashi is in 2006. Mirai Nikki is in 2011. This means Higurashi beats out Mirai Nikki, not because it comes first, but because even after 5 years, it still manages to hold on to its reputation and holds its own with another series of the same length that had 5 years longer to be better than it. For a series aired in 2006, it has certainly aged well, and in this criterion, Higurashi is the only contender. The final tally? Higurashi score 4, Mirai Nikki score 3. In truth, they are both good, and I'd recommend watching both of them if you're into that sort of stuff, but Higurashi edges ahead at the end to win this comparison in my opinion. Even if I had included how good the English dubs are, / how bad they are, at the end, Higurashi would still win for me. But before the fans of Mirai Nikki get at me, I will say that it is only 1 point behind, and had I incorporated a separate criteria for the intros, they would have tied. Thank you for watching.